Mary Kay Cabot joins us right now on the Fan Hotline, as she does every Thursday. Today's Thursday. As she does every Thursday at 8:20. Hello, Mary Kay.
Hello, guys. How you doing?
Doing wonderful. How close is Dylan Gabriel to playing for this football team?
I think it depends on how Joe looks over the next couple of weeks. I don't think they're in any rush to get Dylan out there. I think they're in a stretch right now of 4 out of 5 games on the road. They're facing 3 really tough NFC North teams, playoff teams, and great defenses. They're heading to London. So they have a lot of things going on right now that I think it behooves them to have a veteran presence in there. But certainly he's got to make sure that he's protecting the football. That's job number one. And if he can do that, then he'll keep his job.
Do you feel like the leash, though, on Joe Flacco, based on what we saw in Game 2, has it changed? Has the game plan changed for the organization? Or do you think they are steadfast no matter how it looks, no matter if it's a total repeat of last week when they go up against Micah Parsons and the Packers, they are going to stick to their plan?
No, this is not a team that sticks to its plan. This is a team that is willing to pivot when it has to and when it needs to. Look what happened in training camp when Kenny Pickett suffered a hamstring injury. The plan was always for Kenny Pickett to challenge for that starting job. And when it became apparent that he wasn't going to be able to do that and be ready in the early part of the season, they traded him. So it's a team that is realistic about its chances, about where it's at, about its personnel, and they will be ready to pivot and turn it over to Dylan when they feel the time is right. But there are so many other things right now going on with the offense that I don't think they're looking at it like this is a Joe thing. I mean, they had offensive line problems in that game. Quinshon Judkins, it was his first game back after only 2 practices. The receivers aren't necessarily synced up with Joe yet. There are issues going on. He was always supposed to be supported with a robust running game, and he hasn't had that yet. So let's see what can happen if Quinshon's out there a little bit and they can run more of their playbook and use their running game. I mean, we really haven't seen this offense come together yet. Now, having said that, I do think that you do get to a certain point where you're like, okay, well, let's see if the receivers respond better to Dylan Gabriel. Let's see if the offensive line gets a spark. Sometimes you can, give the team a jolt if you put a different quarterback in there. But I just don't think that they're there yet. This is not a reactionary football team.
Go ahead. You clicked your fingers. I thought you had another one.
Mary Kay Cabot joining us right now on the hotline. So we had a big dust-up regarding the Heat situation in the last game with DeJuan Jones. So let us know, Mary Kay, if you were able to get some clarity on that situation yesterday.
Well, I think more is being made of it than what it really is. Here's the situation, and this is really, in my mind, the bottom line. DeJuan Jones is a player who, in the past, has had some issues with heat. There have been times where he has had to be carted off out of a practice. In a couple of hot games, he's had issues. So in the interest of trying to make sure that he was safe and healthy throughout the game, they went in with a game plan to give him a little bit of a breather and a break to make sure he could make it through the whole entire football game. That is sound medical practice. I'm sure that it came from their medical staff. I'm sure it came. This is not Kevin Stefanski just saying, maybe I'll just take DeJuan Jones out for these 3 plays. No, this was something that was predetermined, and they stuck with that plan to make sure that he was safe and healthy throughout the game. So I think there's something being made of it based on the way that DeJuan may have described it yesterday, but there's nothing to be made of it at all. And I'm sure if you talk to somebody, if Kevin were a little bit more forthcoming, now we don't have him today, we have coordinators today, but if he were more forthcoming, I'm sure that would be the explanation, that there is a track record here of DeJuan Jones having issues in hot games, and we want to make sure that he's okay.
Mary Kay Cabot joining us on the show. Yeah, I had our media brethren was getting all worked into a shoot over, and I went, well, wait a minute. I think we're forgetting that he did have a heat-related issue in training camp, so I think that probably plays out in this game. But who knows? In so many of these things, maybe we find out at the end of the season it wasn't exactly that. So I didn't want to go nuts on those things. We talked about it earlier this morning at 7 o'clock. Mary Kay with us on the show. Speaking of coordinators today, I want to get back to the quarterbacks here in a minute, but speaking of coordinators today, Bubba Ventrone feeling any heat? Last year wasn't good, and then Sunday was a disaster.
Well, it was a disaster, and, I do think that it's got to get to the point where we stop having to ask Bubba about all the calamities happening on special teams. So they've got to get this figured out. Special teams cannot be a liability. It cannot be that. You get one thing figured out, and then the next thing springs a leak. Now, in this past game, it did not help matters at all, of course, that DeAndre Carter suffered a concussion. That threw a lot of things into turmoil. It spilled down over into your receiving core. It just had a lot of impact on the football team. They left yards out there with Isaiah Bond. He wasn't ready for that assignment, really. And then, of course, the blocked punt. I mean, those things occasionally do happen, but they have to get that stuff figured out. I don't think he's on the hot seat. I don't think they would make any kind of a change during the season. But certainly, you've got to have your special teams helping you win football games. That's got to start happening.
Mary Kay, Jerry Jeudy is telling reporters that you got to watch the tape, meaning he's getting open, not a problem. What have you heard right now? What have you observed in watching the Browns' first two games with not only Jerry Jeudy, but the entire wide receiver room?
Well, I just think it's a matter of, once again, the quarterback and the receivers, the offense just needs to be working in concert right now. And I just don't think it's there quite yet. And I'm sure all receivers always think that they're open. I mean, I've been covering football for a long time. I've never really met a receiver who didn't think he was open. And even if they're covered one-on-one, you have to take those chances and you have to win those contested balls. So I really don't think that's the issue. I think that when you look at this offense in general, it's just not a well-oiled machine yet. I think it will help when they get the running game going, and I just think they need more reps. And it's hard to get that chemistry on the fly. It really is hard to. You can't recreate a game-like situation out in practice, and sometimes figuring out the timing and the rhythm of your offense has to happen during football games. And right now, Joe has some nice chemistry going with Harold Fannin. We have to see more from David Njoku. We need to see more from Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, and everybody also has to hang on to the football. There have been way too many drop passes. I think they only have them down for 5, but I'm a hard grader on drop passes. If it hits you in the hands, I think it should be yours.
Amen. Mary Kay, finally somebody's willing to do it. I'm sick and tired of media brethren out there that all want to give the wide receivers benefit of the doubt.
Don't steal my words.
It's disgusting.
Don't steal my sayings.
It's despicable.
Brethren.
So I probably have them for more dropped passes than 5 in the first 2 games. And some of those are breakups, but in that case, sometimes I count those as sort of a drop as well, because if it's in your hands, then you need to be hanging on to it. So I'm a hard grader on that sort of thing. But I think those, the receivers and the quarterback, they need to get more on the same page, and they just need to be working better together. One of the reasons why Joe Flacco was so successful in 2023 is because he had instant chemistry with Amari Cooper. He needs to find that with a few more guys, and they all need to work together to make that happen. Now, Amari Cooper back in the day, he would be wearing Joe out all day long with text messages and with, he was in his ear all the time about, let's do this, let's try that. And maybe these guys just need to communicate more, spend more time together, watch more film together. And this is going to be a really, really tough defense to be successful against.
Mary Kay Cabot with us on the show. Kenny Pickett, was he Kevin's guy?
I know Kevin really liked him a lot. I know the whole organization really thought that Kenny could be that bridge quarterback until one of those rookies was ready to come in. Well, until Dylan Gabriel was going to be ready to come in there and play some games. So I think that when they headed into the off-season program, when they headed into minicamp, and to a certain extent when they headed into training camp, I still think that Kenny was very, very much in the mix to start the season. I don't know if he was necessarily Kevin's guy, But I think they had determined as an organization that he could go out there and run this offense efficiently and probably most of all, protect the football, which is such a point of emphasis this season, and it's not happening. I mean, if you look at this season so far, the mistakes have led to 0-2. The turnovers have led to 0-2. And if they can just get that cleaned up, and I've been saying that since the offseason, I said they could win 7 games if they just get the turnover battle thing figured out. They haven't won one in 9 games now, and you're just not going to be successful that way.
They also haven't had a 100-yard rusher in, I believe, 27 games. What did you think of Quinshon Judkins on Sunday?
Well, for only having 2 days of practice under his belt, I thought he did a fine job, but it's not going to be any easier this Sunday. So I think that was a very small sample size. So whatever I saw on Sunday is not necessarily going to carry over to this week unless they are really on point with their blocking, and he's got to be hitting those holes. And I think that their run game is going to have to be accomplished in other ways just besides Quinshon trying to run the ball, because this team is so good at the run. At their run defense. They're number 2 overall. They shut down the Lions. They shut down the Commanders. I think you're going to need to run some maybe jet sweeps, end arounds, jumbo packages, whatever you can do, because you can't have your quarterback throwing the ball, your 40-year-old quarterback throwing the ball 45 times a game and think it's all going to go perfectly.
Perhaps nobody better in the region in deciphering cryptic social media posts than Mary Kay Cabot. And so what a perfect time to ask you to try to decipher JOK's Instagram post yesterday. Had some people thinking he's coming back, had others thinking he's going to announce a retirement. What say you?
You know, that's a tough one. I really can't answer that. I'm not really sure where he's going. It's been kind of a mystery in terms of what he's thinking. I think it would probably be difficult for him to get back on the field based on just what I saw during the hit during the collision. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure what he's thinking. And sometimes guys really like to keep us guessing in that regard. So I'm probably not going to take a stab at that one.
Mary Kay Cabot with us. What do you think of the new uniforms?
I can't say I loved the helmets yesterday. And I'm not really a uniform helmet guy, but I didn't like them. They seemed sort of drab to me, I must say. So, I didn't love those as much as some other people did. And since you guys probably don't know this, I'm just going to throw this out there. Because I haven't tweeted this out yet, I wrote a column this morning saying that I don't think Baker Mayfield would have been that Baker Mayfield here in Cleveland. And I went through a bunch of different reasons why I think that would have been the case. So I know you guys haven't had a chance to see that yet, but if you guys are still debating that topic at all, I just thought I would see if you wanted me to weigh in on it.
Well, we weren't until you brought it up, but please, Mary Kay, the floor is yours. Why wouldn't Baker Mayfield be the same Baker Mayfield or this Baker Mayfield if he stayed in Cleveland?
Well, it's complicated. It's very, very complicated, but things had gone so south here that I don't think it was at the point of return. I don't think that there was any chance for him to come back and salvage anything here with the way things transpired. I think he got off to a very, very tumultuous and toxic start here. So many things went downhill. And then when you get to the point about that I think is important here is that Baker himself, he was a little bit of a train wreck when he was here, and he now admits that. I think he needed to be humbled. He needed to change. He wasn't living his life the way that he is now. His marriage was on the rocks. He had family issues with his father and his father's company and possible money stealing and different things like that. So he was not in a good place, and he readily admits he needed to have his career taken down to the studs so that he could build himself back up. And I just don't think that Cleveland was going to get that version of Baker Mayfield until that happened.
So we've been sitting here stressing about what lessons can we learn? How do we make sure a Baker situation doesn't happen again? And Mary Kay, it sounds like you're saying, well, there were definitely multiple reasons that something like this went down, and you can't necessarily just blame the Browns on this.
No, you certainly cannot blame the Browns on this, but Baker landed in Cleveland in the most dysfunctional period in Cleveland Browns history, so that certainly didn't help. When you have a rookie quarterback, you have to take TLC with them. You have to develop them with every ounce of professionalism and whatever else they need throughout their entire career, off the field, on the field. I've seen rookie young quarterbacks come in here, and you just know that they're not okay from just a mental standpoint. They're just not doing right. So I think that you have to be very, very careful about how you bring these young guys along, and Baker did not have that. Now, this new organization, that was the old regime. These guys know how to develop a young quarterback. Some people would disagree with that, but these guys know what they're doing. That's why you're not seeing Shador out there yet. That's why you're not seeing Dylan out there yet. But I watch them in practice every day, and they're still doing almost a mini two-spotting out there where they're getting these guys their reps and they're bringing them along. Baker didn't have that in the early going. He landed in just an absolute firestorm with the front office and the coaching staff. So he got off to a bad start. And then if you get a chance to read the column, I talk about how things kind of broke down between him and Myles Garrett. We know that things broke down between him and Odell Beckham Jr., and things broke down between Baker and Kevin Stefanski. And by the time they got to the end, it just wasn't going to go anywhere. So I don't think that he would have been that player here, and I think people need to kind of just let that go.
Mary Kay, thank you very much for the time. The problem is that we're going to talk about Baker Mayfield in the next segment because of what you just said to us, and people are going to go, "You're still going on about Baker Mayfield? The game was Monday night. You guys ain't talking about the Guardians. This is the problem with Cleveland sports radio." You see what you've done to us now, Mary Kay, though? This is good stuff.
I appreciate it, Mary Kay.
This is good stuff. We love it, Mary Kay. We love you. Thank you so much.
All right. Sounds good. Take care.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Mary Kay Cabot on the Fan Hotline.